foot race.
Of course, of
Yeah.
course.
Prince Edward has started this game riddled with mistakes, and they're allowing Churchill to get a foothold in this game. Churchill are playing a very well balanced game. They're taking the points when they need to take the points, and when they get the ball in hand, they're looking dangerous. This game could slowly move away from the Tigers if they're not too careful.
Yeah, but let's not quickly dismiss them. You know, there's a future for them. There's hope.
Yeah. Well, there's still a lot of time to play, but they've got to get the act together. The kick is skewed.
I don't think you sleep after, before such
Before
a game.
such a game, huh?
I don't think so.
Because
Because you know, you can't just go to Craven Week, you know, for free. You know, so I think that has, you know, affected the Churchill boys to be part of the Craven team. You know.
Yeah.
You know, so. But I'm sure, you know what, these old boys can come up with a board or committee.
Exactly,
you know,
exactly.
Like
Where
that.
are you old boys? You know, don't wait for the government to do something for your school. I mean, you gotta start doing something for your schools.
Of course.
We should have like a crowdfunding campaign, you know, for sponsor a schoolboy to Craven Week.
Obviously,
these boys deserve to be there. They've worked hard, and I mean, they deserve a look in. It shouldn't be about your finances. It should be about your talent, and. It would be sad to see some of these guys not showcasing their talent just because they can't afford an air ticket or accommodation. I mean, that's terrible. Yeah, it breaks my heart. Advantage to Churchill. It's a penalty again. The referee signaling something. So
offside.
P, I guess, is offside, and he has to. They have to go back 10 again. All too often in this game, we've seen guys having to go back. He's a bit too far now to take post, so he seems to be taking the sensible option, and he goes for post. Sorry, excuse me, he goes for touch. There's a casualty there on the touchline. He didn't expect the ball to come to him.
Yeah.
Churchill leading 14-5. Yeah. Churchill is up for this game. They're really up for this game. We see some backline moves, and we see, oh, there's a knock on there. Terrible rugby. Looking at the man, not looking at the ball.
Yeah.
We could safely say the Tigers have been rattled.
Sure looks like it, you know, because mentally you can tell that they're not focused for some reason, one reason or another. We're not sure. Maybe they don't have the usual players in there, but
they're playing against the old school.
But that's no excuse, man. You know, people have come to watch this game and they expect to get the best.
Yeah. We heard, we can't confirm this, but people have been talking on social media that 6 ex-Churchill students went and are now at Prince Edward.
Wow.
So if that's true, then it means that they're basically playing against the former selves.
Yeah, it could be so. Oh, that's a nice tackle.
Seems that ball went forward. A referee saw it. And a bit of afters as well. These guys are pumped for this game.
Yeah.
There's a lot of time to go in this game, so don't go anywhere. Don't think this is a done deal. This game has so much time to play.
Because things can just change.
Things definitely. I mean, this is going to be a tight game, regardless of what you see right now. 14-5. This game has got so long to go.
Yeah. It's a rock in favor of. It's a scrum in favor of Prince Edward.
Churchill seems to have a very good scrum. They seem to be dominant in that area. and Prince Edward needs to solve that issue.
But I must commend both schools because, you know, in terms of discipline, because over the years we would have been seeing policemen here, you know, riots and all that stuff. But, you know, today we're not seeing that.
Exactly.
So that is very good. That is very good.
There's a Prince Edward scrum off there. He took it short and then he made a horrendous error. He passes it behind his man and the ball goes straight into touch.
And that means policeman. Oh yeah, we were just talking about discipline. As you can see, that old one of the policemen is ushering some guy off the park. You know.
Good lineup from PE. Won the ball from Churchill. Churchill seemed to be very good in attack. They're on to the Tigers in a flash, and the Tigers are making a lot of mistakes. They dropped the ball. Yeah.
They're exerting so much pressure on the PE, back forwards, and they're just crumbling. And you can just tell that, you know, they need to re-strategize. They need to work on their defense now.
Yeah, PE really needs to work on the defense. They need to work on the basics as well. They've lost focus, and that's creating a lot of mistakes. Good put in from Churchill. He gets his man. The referee's seen an infringement. He calls it back. It'll be a re-scrum, Churchill ball.
Despite what's going on the park, you know, the PE gentlemen keep supporting, you know, and that is very good. That is very
great tradition, you know. PE never stops supporting. Even the years they've never had a good team, they still supported their team.
I remember when I was in school, you know, it was centenary, you know, at St. George's, and it was raining and we were getting bashed. I remember it was 21-3, you know, and the P boys were supporting.
They're still supporting.
So I mean, that's
love for you. Big hearts, big hearts. You can never fault the P gentlemen for big hearts.
Of course. And Churchill has the ball, and we're still in P
line.
territory.
It's really close to the line. It's looking ominous for Churchill. They have an overlap here. They should score.
That's a try from the
Bulldogs. Try time, Bulldogs. Easy as you like. Simple, basic rugby. Took the ball down the line, prop against backliner. There's only one winner there. A little basketball pass and it's a try.
And that's it. It's exactly what happened there.
This game is running away from Prince Edward quickly.
They need to change. They need to change their strategy, honestly, because people will start walking away. The old boys will start walking away. You know, gentlemen, if you're from PE, don't lose heart. Keep watching the game. We believe in miracles too. And
they'll need a sort of a miracle. This is Nigel Phillip. You don't come here and just win. You need to have your things and win on this field. Yeah. And Churchill are basically showing people why they're one of the top schools in Zimbabwe rugby this year. Score as it's a good kick, but he misses. Bright. Score remains 9 in front of his eyes.
This is bad. This is bad for PE. And, you know, I think everybody, they've got injuries. Look at the way their posture, their body language. Yeah. They're really tired, you know. And I think Coach D'Souza needs to bring in fresh people.
Yeah. So. No. You can tell from the Prince Edward side, they look jaded. They don't look like the Tigers, which won against St. John's College. They look like they've had a good exit weekend and they've come back and they're not here at the horses.
Because this is very bad for PE. I mean, already that's
27-5 in the first half. This could go all the way to 50.
That's very bad. And Muringai is going for posts, you know, and that's going to be an extra 2 points.
Good technique, head down, 2 points, easy as you like. 29-5.
Half time it is, and
it'll take one of the biggest efforts from Prince Edward to turn this game around.
That is true.
That will be the most momentous comeback ever. You know what? Things can happen in rugby. You know, you do things right, things happen for you. Churchill have been doing things right, things have been happening for him. It's time for Prince Edward to actually show that they actually can play rugby.
Yeah, and I think for D'Souza and his men, they have to go back to the drawing board and then re-strategize because this is very bad for them.
Exactly. It's mostly the little things. They're dropping the ball. They kicked for a line out. They lost the line out. You know, so it's those little things that are changing the face of this game. When Churchill has ball in hand, they're assured, and they look like they're sure of what they're doing. Prince Edward look like, you know, they're still an exit weekend.
A toothless tiger, shall we say?
They haven't arrived. Yeah, toothless tiger.
A tamed one, we don't know. Half time it is, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll be right back. Stay tuned and enjoy the game. Welcome back to the Churchill and PE game, second half, and it's just kicking off. Churchill winning, leading 29 points to 5. Let's just hope this game changes in favor of PE, honestly.
Let's hope this game changes in terms of competition.
Because it looks one-sided.
It's very one-sided.
And a reminder that St. George's is playing Peterhouse, and we'll give you a scoreline, later on.
Yeah, even if it's not live, we'll give you the scoreline on our website. You can look at the Rising Stars page. We'll have all the scores for you later on. This broadcast is in conjunction, Rising Stars in conjunction with Uhuru, bringing you live schoolboy rugby.
And St. John's College is at Cow College. That's another big game as well.
They won actually. Someone was telling me, I don't quite have the score, but I know St. John's College finally won. Very small margin, just like 25-22, but yet to confirm.
It's a knock-on and it's in favor of
scrum down, Churchill ball. Churchill have made less mistakes, and this is the difference between the two teams. Prince Edward, each time they have the ball, they seem not to know what to do with it. Churchill look like they're convinced on what to do with the ball every time they have it.
Hey, look, man, they're playing Prince Edward. That's one of their biggest opponents, and they have to bring the best, and that's what they're doing.
The best, exactly. They brought the best, but PE hasn't yet brought their best. So let's see and watch what happens in this broadcast. I remember, I think it was 1998 on Jubilee, and it was Churchill versus Prince Edward, and Prince Edward was leading, and at the very last moments of the game, a certain player whose nickname was Dust took the ball and ran it about 50 meters and scored and broke PE hearts. So will the same thing happen here? Who knows? It's a very bad pass. The player has to dive to catch it, but PE seemed to be a little more aggressive. Seems they've had a rollicking from the coach. I mean, he has got nothing to be happy about. That was a very good tackle. Very good tackle. He's going to feel that even tomorrow. Churchill very aggressive in defense. This is a very good team, very well coached. This begs the question, do these coaches ever coach Zimbabwe? Do they get the chance to ever coach the national team? Or do they just coach Churchill, have an unbeaten season, and then we'll never know?
I think they're comfortable just coaching the schoolboy rugby, man, because we're told that, when it comes to the national team, they're looking at something very different,
You see, if they're looking at losing, because this is a winning side, I've seen very good things from Churchill today. I think a coach like the Churchill coach should have a look into even coaching the Zimbabwe side, because he's done wonders with this team. Peter was here, they got smacked.
Or the court.
Very good attacking.
Just hold their nerves, man, and do what's supposed to be done. And he feeds the ball.
Very strong Churchill scrum. 8-man pickup. The 8-man is going inside. We see this tactic used by Prince Edward a lot. I was watching the under-16 game. Same tactic, 8-man pickup, even in their own 22. Churchill defense is up on them. Very good defense. Double team there. Churchill have the numbers. Referee seems to say they are not onside. What do you think? They should take posts or get a chance to then?
Honestly, I think they should just run the ball, because this is where you utilize the forwards.
Yeah. That's what they
say. If they don't
make
a mistake. Someone's going to get cautioned.
Pocket. I wonder what happened there. Oh, it's a yellow card.
And that is very bad.
That's huge. That's huge. PE are starting to attack.
They should take advantage of the 15 minutes,
Muzorewa gets a yellow card. And he's the captain as well. So they've lost the leader and one of the best defenders. Prince Edward with the ball. It's a very big tackle there.
This is very bad, the captain also needs to be very disciplined. I've known that he's also the head boy of the school, and I've always known him, and I think he's just frustrated as well.
Yeah, they've been defending for quite a bit, so maybe frustration got to him.
obviously.
Yeah.
And as you can see, P cannot do anything. They can't utilize the opportunity, you know. And this
very
is very
loose from Prince Edward again. Very, very loose. Ball in one hand, loose again. The ball went back. He's lucky. You know, it's like 15 against 15, although Churchill are playing with 14 men. Prince Edward are up for a game today. They're in for a game. Churchill has arrived and they're in for a game.
But so I'm saying they should take advantage of this one man who's out, you know, and utilize it, you know, and I'm sure 2 tries, man, you can get.
That was a quick tap from the fly off. Savanu. There's an overlap. He decides to go by himself. Try line fever. He had a 4-man overlap. He decides to run with the ball. Very bad mistake.
They're close, very close. The ref offside.
It's an infringement. It's
held. Back to 5.
It's a penalty. Bad mistake from the referee. He had blown for a penalty. Then he decides to change his mind.
In fact,
it's ridiculous.
No, in fact, he had given them a penalty, but then the ball was held. So, yeah.
And then it seems like he was going for a scrum, and then we saw the Prince Edward coach getting very upset on the touchline. Then he changed again to a long-arm penalty. Well, he's being assessed today, so I hope his assessor is writing all of these little things in his book.
That's a try. So there's seems like there's for PE.
This is where discipline comes in. Remember, we're talking about yellow cards and how they could change the tide of this game. You were mentioning it before, and you're saying this game is a knife edge, and yellow cards will change the complexity of this game.
Of course. And let's just hope, like I said, they need to take advantage of this one man who's out, you know, and ensure they utilize that, you know.
Definitely. Rugby is all about numbers.
Of course.
You know, size and obviously skill. So it's it's different from football. You know, a football team can defend for 90 minutes with 10 men. In rugby, it takes its toll. You know, it's only so much you can do with 14 men.
Yeah, that's true. And then you can see Shavanu is also missing his kicks. Those are the small points, you know, that would add up and they will matter, at the end of the day. You know? So they need to come up with I think, you know, like what South Africa does, it doesn't have one kicker, you know?
Yeah.
So
you can't rotate the kicking if you see someone is not doing well.
Of course.
You can't wait for the game to finish to then make such a decision. Yeah.
So the scoreline is 29-10 in favor of Churchill. And
but Prince Edward has come to the game now. They've drawn first blood in the second half.
Let's hope.
There's a slight delay. The referee is lecturing the players again. He's saying they need to check for a concussion or a head injury, which is important. It seems like he's going to go off and someone is going to replace him. So it's now 13 against 15. So they're checking for concussion just to be safe. You know, we all love this game. We want to see all the players in the field, but, you know, we got to be safe first. Quick test, and he seems to be back up.
This is very interesting, man. You know, just 2 seconds and then you're free to go back.
Yeah. I saw the test. It was a quick, you know, one of those the policemen give you when you've been having one too many. Looked like a knock on there, but the referee didn't see anything wrong. Churchill with 14 men seem like they're actually playing better
than P.
Yeah, exactly. Penalty, hands in the ruck. Poor discipline from Prince Edward. You've got 15 men against 14, and you're giving away penalties in your own half. Oh, he drops the ball at the crucial moment. Here's a player on his offside. He just needs to offload the ball. He's looking at the men, and he drops the ball. There's a kick into field, bad kick. Fielded by Churchill there, running back into traffic.
So Wango is with the ball, and he gives it to the flyer.
Another dab through the middle. What a...
This is very bad, you know, because like we're talking about speed. You can see once they decide to go, you know, they're going really for fast.
Prince Edward doesn't have an answer to that little dab ball through the middle. It's been played to good effect with Churchill. All they're doing is waiting for the defense to come up, and they just dab the ball through, and then they're backing themselves with pace. And you know, the one thing a defender doesn't like to see is 4 big guys running towards you.
And I don't think even the flyer is also doing his work. The PE flyer, fullback, he's not doing his part.
He had a chance to kick for a touch, and he kicks it straight to the man, invites pressure again.
This is bad.
But noticing the bad from Prince Edward, we should notice the good from Churchill. Churchill are playing a clinical game. They're playing a well-rehearsed, well-drilled game. They know what they want, and they're doing it well. And they're executing. And even with 14 men, you'd back this Churchill squad to score against Prince Edward right now.
That is true, that is true.
Scrum down, it's Churchill ball.
P needs at least 19 more points.
They can find 19 points if they do things well. But
3 converted tries. I don't know how it's going to work out with the way they're going. But
yeah, if you could see that they're playing well, then you'd know the tries are coming. But with the way they're playing against 14 men, those 3 tries, they look like a far cry.
That's true. That's true. It's a scrum in favor of Churchill and P
Churchill come again. Nice backline move. Dummies there. Whoa, he goes through the whole defense. Looking at the ball, not looking at your man. Churchill have a chance to throw again, and they get it in the corner.
That is very bad. As you can see, even the PE crowd is no longer supporting. They're wondering what's going on.
15 against 14, and they have an overlap. Unacceptable, Prince Edward.
I can't wait for the haka. I can't wait for the haka anymore.
It looks like it's going to happen. With the way things are going, it looks like it's going to happen. You cannot allow an overlap against 14 men.
That is impossible.
I mean, who's not doing what where? This is where the coach has to pinpoint the water carriers in this team. Guys who are just walking, they're not doing anything, they're not tackling, they're not adding any value to this team.
Changing commentary voice to Keith Bepura. It seems like Churchill Bulldogs are humbling the Tigers today. Churchill is still the undefeated side this season, while them and Falcon not knowing the result of today's game.
Yeah.
But Churchill seems like no one is going to stop them, and the kick is missed.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like anyone can stop this team, especially with the way that Prince Edward is playing now. I don't think they're going to stop this team.
So, Didai, my question goes back to, how is this team not nationally recognized?
You know, there's a lot of talk on social media on why not many of these Churchill players are recognized. And I think it's unfair because I'm actually watching them live for the first time. And I see a team which is well-drilled, talented, skilled, and is beating all the other teams which are represented in the Cravenwick side. So a lot has to be done with the rugby if we fail each and every single year to recognize some of these players.
Good question, good answer right there. Credit to the coach, Bob Mahari, first team coach of Churchill Bulldogs, for grooming these youngsters. Churchill have nothing special about them. They just stick to the basics of rugby.
Well, I back to DeFi. I think those are the small things that matter in sports. You know, those small things, the basics matter because they tell what we're going to do, what we're going to accomplish, and that's a very good display from the Churchill Bulldogs.
If we were to compare Churchill to an international team at the moment, views?
You'd say, is this Leicester? I don't think so. I think they deserve to be recognized much more than that. I think this is a very good squad, very good players. And it's a tragedy actually, that Zimbabwe Rugby year after year seem to be making these decisions where I don't realize that how many Zimbabwe Rugby officials are here watching this game. If you're selecting the national team, what are you doing if you're not recognizing some of these players? These are discussions that people should have, because it's unfair for these players not to be recognized and they're beating Prince Edward 34-10. Prince Edward beats St. John's College 43-23. You know, at St. John's, and they have 3 guys in that team. Unacceptable. Totally unacceptable. This is where we're putting our flag and saying this is unacceptable.
As you can see, the captain is back on the park. His sin bin is over, so
it's
15 against 15. And now let's see what's going to happen.
More tries. From my side, more tries. Churchill look assured. Whenever they have possession, they know what they want to do with the ball. Prince Edward is not sure. They're not sure whether or not to press or whether or not to defend. They're just not sure.
Yeah.
Churchill look like they're convinced. They know what to do.
Penalty for...
He drops the ball, tries to take a quick tap, he drops the ball. Unassured.
This is very bad. P needs to work on the team.
You need to wake up, yeah. When we were youngsters, we were told, you need to wake up, Mfana. This is bad pass, knock on.
Prince Edward certainly paying for their errors.
You know, in these big games, it's all down to who makes the least mistakes, who makes the least mistakes. I should correct myself. Prince Edward would be making mistakes. It's true. I think we're all trying to find excuses not to get these guys.
Certainly, they're ball handling, they're passing, unstoppable.